Recording progress.
Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Bhakti Vaibhav class. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnapristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, so we are continuing our discussion from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 3. We are discussing chapter number 32, which is entitled Entanglement in Fruitive Activities. After describing the description of people who live by sinful means, now in the second chapter, Kapila Dev is describing those people who live by pious means, but their goal is to enjoy sense gratification. They do not do anything against the scriptures, but their goal is to enjoy. So that is the sakam karma. So after describing in the first four verses, we have discussed the first four verses, the path of sakam karma is described. And Kapila Dev says that this path of sakam karma cannot give liberation. And after describing this path of sakam karma yoga, Kapila Dev goes on to describe what is nishkam karma yoga. And this nishkam karma yoga can actually give one sayujya mukti. So we have discussed till 7th verse. We'll continue from verse number 8. I'll just share the screen. So Kapil Dev, he continues the description of Virat Roop worshippers. So he is describing that these sakam karmis, these nishkam karmis, they worship, they offer all the results. They don't act for personal sense gratification, but they are still attached to the work. So the result is they go to Brahman. And then he says, if they worship this Virat Rupa without bhakti, then actually they can't attain liberation. Bhakti is the most important aspect. Without the process of bhakti, everything else is useless. And we've discussed this many times in the past. Anyone remembers, example is given repeatedly to show how the path of jnana is useless if there is no bhakti in that. Anyone remembers? This famous
Beating
example. Sorry.
beating the empty husk.
Yes, beating the empty husk. स्थूल तुषावघाति नाम श्रेय श्रुतिम भक्ति मुदस्य ते विभो क्लिश्यन्ते केवल बोध लब्धये तेषाम असौ क्लेशल एव शिष्यते नन्यद यथा स्थूल तुषावघाति नाम. It is like a beating empty husk. Nothing will come out. So in this 8 to 15 verses, Kapila Dev describes the destination of Virat Rupa worshippers and superiority of bhakti. So we'll start with that 8th verse. विप्रार्धावसानेय प्रलयो ब्रह्मणस्तु ते अवद् अध्यासते लोकम् परस्य परचिन्तकाः.
Worshippers of the Hinayagarbha expansion of the personality of Godhead remain within this material world until the end of 2 Paradhas when Lord Brahma also dies.
Yes. So these worshippers of Virat Rupa, they remain in Satyaloka for Dviparardha. Dviparardha means the full life of Brahma. One Parardha is 50 years of Brahmaji. Dviparardha Avasane, the duration of Dviparardha, when it ends, that means when Brahmaji's life is over. Pralayo, at the death, when the death of Brahma happens. So what happens? Tavat adhyasate lokam. So these Virat Rupa worshippers, they stay in Satyaloka till the time Brahmaji lives, and after Brahmaji's life is over, parasya parachintaka, they also attain that supreme Brahman. They don't attain the personal, they don't attain the personal planet of the Lord. They attain the Brahman, Sayujya Mukti. So he describes what? Parasya parachintaka. So he says, what is Dviparartha? Parasya parachintaka means always thinking of Supreme Lord or being always Krishna conscious. So basically, Prabhupada, he is not going to the detail of what these worshippers, Virat Rupa worshippers achieve in terms of Brahman and Paramatma and Bhagwan. He is coming to the point. Parasya parachintaka means thinking about Krishna. That's the ultimate understanding. When we speak of Krishna, this refers to the complete category of Vishnu Tattva. So Krishna means it includes all the various avatars, all the three Purusha avatars, as well as all the incarnations taken together. Ramadi Murti Shukalani, Aminutishna Prabhupada quotes this. So that's how the Virat Rupa worshippers, they achieve Brahman liberation at the end of the life of Brahma. So he continues. We'll read the translation of this verse. Next verse, translation. Somebody can please read.
After experiencing the inhabitable time of the three modes of material nature, known as two paradhas, Lord Brahma closes the material universe, which is covered by layers of earth, water, air, fire, ether, mind, ego, etc., and goes back to Godhead.
Yes. So he goes back to spiritual world. Brahmaji. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes something in the 8th verse. Yeah. Brahma is just a gunavatar of the Supreme Lord. The worshippers of Hiranyagarbha by Bhakti Mishra Gyan. That means, if the Gyan is the prominent and Bhakti is the secondary element. That is actual Gyana. They attain liberation along with Brahma. However, if they worship only Hiranyagarbha without Bhakti, they do not attain liberation. So Bhakti has to be there if somebody wants to be liberated. Even if they don't want Bhakti, but they have to do Bhakti even to attain liberation. And that is what is described in these verses. So Brahmaji, he closes this material universe at the end of the life and he achieves liberation. So Srila Prabhupada writes, this material world is Vyakrita and ultimately it dissolves. But after the dissolution, the manifestation of the spiritual world remains. Tadhama paramam mama, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. That supreme abode of mind, it is never destroyed. That is the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. Aham evasamevaagre nanyat yat sadasat param paschad aham yadetaccha yo avashishyat swasmyaham. Lord is telling, I am the beginning. Aham eva asam eva agre. Everything comes after me and it stays for some time and is annihilated, but I remain. Paschad aham yat etat. After everything is annihilated, Lord remains. That is what is described as Avyakrita. Avyakrita means that which does not change. Everything changes, but Supreme Lord, His abode, never changes. When after ruling over material universe under the influence of time element, that Lord Brahma desires to dissolve it, he goes into the kingdom of Lord, and all others also enter. Okay, next verse. 10th verse describes how the pure yogis they also enter Brahman. Translation.
The yogi who becomes detached from the material world by practice of breathing exercise and control of the mind reach the planet of Brahma, which is far, far away. After giving up their bodies, they enter into the body of the Lord Brahma. And therefore, when Brahma is liberated and goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Brahman, each yogi can also enter into the kingdom of God. Hare Krishna.
So this verse says, Ye viraga yoginaha. Viraga yogina means those who are detached yogis. Viraga. Those devotees, those yogis who are viragaha, those who are detached. Anyone remembers in the second canto, in the first chapter, there are two types of yogis described: a attached yogi and a detached yogi. So the attached yogi follows krama mukti. Gradually he gets liberated. But a detached yogi directly gets liberated along. He directly enters Brahman. So this detached yogi, what happens to him? Jit Jit Marut Manasa. He has controlled his mind, he has controlled his breathing, and after attaining Evam Paretya, after attaining this Paretya means Brahma Loka, after attaining that, what happens? Bhagwantam Anupravishta. Bhagwantam Anupravishta means he merges with Brahma. That means Brahma enters Brahman and the yogi also enters Brahman. If Brahmaji is entering Brahman, the yogi also enters Brahman. So that is the description given. After giving up their bodies, they enter into the body of Brahma, and therefore, when Brahma is liberated, goes to the Supreme, who is a Brahman. The yogis also entered that Supreme Kingdom. That means they entered Brahman. They didn't enter a planet of Vaikuntha. They entered Brahman because they were yogis. They had no devotion. They didn't practice devotional service. They practiced Jnana Yoga. And Jnana Yoga takes one to Brahman only. So Prabhupada writes, by perfecting their yogic practice, the yogis can reach Brahmaloka, and after giving up their material bodies, they enter the body of Brahma because they are not directly devotees, they cannot get liberation directly. They have to wait until Brahma is liberated, and then along with Brahma, they are also liberated. So that is the understanding of how these Virat Rupa worshippers are getting liberated. So, Prabhupada continues. It is clear that as long as the living entity is a worshipper of a particular demigod, his consciousness is absorbed in thoughts of that demigod, and therefore he cannot get direct liberation. So these Virat Rupa worshippers, they worship Brahma also. So they are absorbed in a consciousness of Brahma. So they can't enter Vaikuntha or Brahman. Vaikuntha is not in question only. They can't enter Brahman also. You have to wait till Brahma is liberated. Okay. So then, after that, Kapildev says, since, O mother, because without bhakti no one can become liberated, therefore you should surrender to the Lord alone. You should not surrender to anyone else. That's what he says in the next verse. Atatam sarva bhutanam ritpadmeshu kritalayam shrutvanubhavam sharanam brajabhavena bhamini. Translation.
Therefore, my dear mother, by devotional service, take direct shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated in everyone's heart.
O Bhamini, Bhamini means O affectionate mother. Therefore, Atha means therefore. Tam, you, Tam Sarva Bhutanam, to that Lord of all beings, who is Rit Padmeshu, who is residing in the lotus of the heart of the living entities, Shrutva Anubhava, just by hearing about him. Shrutva Anubhava. Shrutva Anubhava means by hearing about him. Sharanam. Just take shelter. So, how to take shelter? By hearing about him. By realizing the person, that Supreme Lord who is realized by hearing, surrender to that Supreme Lord. So that is the ultimate conclusion Kapila is giving here. That anyways, one cannot do anything without bhakti. So please render bhakti only directly. Don't go to any other path. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, since without bhakti no one can become liberated, you should surrender to Lord alone. O Bhamini, who thinks of me, the Supreme Lord, as your son, I have given teachings of bhakti to you, but that is useless since you are so advanced. So Kapila Dev tells, oh, I have given all these instructions of bhakti, but it is not meant for you. You are already, perfect in that. So all these instructions are given for all of us. Devavati is just a medium so that we can hear all these wonderful instructions. Srila Prabhupada writes, one can attain direct contact with Supreme Lord in full Krishna consciousness and revive one's relationship with Him. One can re-establish the transcendental relationship in so many ways. That is the feeling of oneness. So again, Prabhupada describes what is actual oneness. Actual oneness is not to merge, Prabhupada writes. But the Mayavadi and Vaishnava philosophers both want to merge into the Supreme. So what is this here? What is merging in Supreme? Prabhupada says both want to merge in Supreme. Yes, they both want to merge, but the Vaishnavas do not lose their identity. They become one in quality. They never lose their quantity. They never lose their identity. So that's how they become one with the Lord, one in quality. In transcendental world, servant and master are one. That's the absolute platform. Although the relationship is servant and master, both the servant and the served stand on the same platform. That is oneness. They are both Satchidananda. It is not that the servant is exploited in this world, in spiritual world. They both enjoy. They're on the same platform. In fact, the servant enjoys more than the master in the spiritual world. So Kapila Dev advised his mother that she did not need any indirect process. She was already situated in the direct process. Therefore, he says, Bhamini. She was already thinking of the Lord as his son, as her son. So there was no need for her to practice any other path. So this was just for instructing all the living entities of the world that he is giving such wonderful instructions. So now, after describing the destination of the Virat Rupa worshippers. Now, 18. Now, in next few verses, Devahuti may ask, how can we understand that Brahma gets liberation, but he does not desire to liberate his devotees? How is it possible? If Brahma is getting liberated, he should also liberate his devotees. So, how is it that it is not happening? So, that will be describing in the next few verses. Translation somebody can read. In that, Kapila Dev will describe that there is a Bhed Drishti. If
My
they
dear
don't,
mother,
yeah,
should I
please
read,
translate.
Prabhuji? My
Yeah.
dear mother, someone may worship Supreme Personality of Godhead with a special self-interest, but even demigod such as Lord Brahma, great sages such as Sanat Kumar, and great Munis such as Marichi have to come back to the material world again at the time of creation. When interaction of the three modes of material nature begins, Brahma, who is the creator of this cosmic manifestation and who is full of Vedic knowledge, and the great sages, who are the authors of the spiritual path and the yoga system, come back under the influence of the time factor. They are liberated by their non-fruitive activities and they attain the first incarnation of the Purusha. But at the time of creation, they come back in exactly the same form and position as they had previously.
So Baladev is telling that even Brahma and Kumaras and all the other exalted personalities, if they have this Bhed Drishti, the word used here is Bhed Drishti. Just to mention that Bhed Drishti word. Yes. Bhed Drishtya Bhimanena. The word here is Bhed Drishtya Abhimanena. Because of their Bhed Drishti, they don't get liberated. So Prabhupada writes about this Bhed Drishti. What is this Bhed Drishti? Bhed Drishti means that Brahma sometimes thinks that he is independent of the Supreme Lord, or he thinks of himself as one of the three equally independent incarnations. So if Brahma has Bheda Drishti, that means his vision is not pure, he's having contaminated vision, then he's not liberated. If he is not liberated, how his subordinates will be liberated? So that is what Chakravarti Thakur describes here. How can we understand that Brahma gets liberation, but he does not desire to liberate his devotees? Brahma's liberation is also only an appearance. In Gita, Lord says, Mame ve prapadyante maya metam tarantite. From this, it is understood that even Brahma does not get liberation if he does not have bhakti. What to speak of his inferiors then? That is explained in these verses. So it is very clear that if somebody doesn't have pure bhakti, he will not be liberated, whoever he may be. Maybe he may be Brahma or Marichi or even all the great yogis, all the personalities. If they have false identity, like I am the creator, if that is the ego this Brahma has, he will not be liberated. He is thinking that he is the best doer. He enters into the Lord endowed with auspicious qualities at the time of great destruction. So after, if he is not purified, he'll again enter Mahavishnu. And at the in the beginning of the next creation, he'll again come out. And he'll be in the same position. He'll be born as Brahma again. And all the sages accompanying Brahma and enjoying powers such as Anima, the sages in Brahmaloka, Satyaloka, and all the other superior planets, they all enter the body of Mahavishnu if they are not purified. And the beginning of the next creation, they again come out. So in the next Mahakalpa, as it is described, they again come back at the beginning of the next Mahakalpa. Now the question is, how is it possible for the greatest of the yogis like Kumaras and other perfected beings and the gurus to a false conception. Is it possible? ये तो एकदम अलग में है, ये तो it is like हिंदी में बता दोगे ये तो. How can they have false conceptions? How could they be great masters of yoga but have false identity and see difference? So the answer is given. Without false conception, they search out the undifferentiated Brahman. But having the conception that Brahman takes on variety only through Maya, they see difference in the personal form of the Lord who actually excludes difference, just as one sees difference between material objects. So they start searching for Brahman, but they get overwhelmed by Maya and they start thinking in a impersonal way sometimes. They see they see that Brahman takes the variety only through Maya. That is the Mayavad here. And they identify themselves as realizers of Brahman and reject the Lord with form. Their mentality gets corrupted. It happens sometimes. Not all Brahmas are like that. Not all Kumaras, not all greatest of the yogis are like that, but it happens. They also get into misconception that absolute truth covered by Maya, covered by mode of goodness, becomes the Lord. Otherwise, Lord is impersonal only. With this vision and identity, they think they are the doers, having the right to action. Therefore, they return. So, if they have this contaminated consciousness, they'll return to this material world. Now, he clarifies. What has been described here are Brahma, sages, yogis, jnanis, and Kumaras who are devoid of bhakti in some particular universe. It is not in all universes that they are like this only. In some universe, if it is like that. Because in one of the commentaries, Chakravarti Thakur writes that our current Brahma is a pure devotee because he heard from Supreme Lord, Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So how can he get deviated? And he himself spoke that verse. Na bharati me angam rishopalakshate na vai pachin me manaso mrigat rishagati na me rishikani padante satpathe yanme ridotkankyavata trito hari. My mind never goes towards wrong things. My senses never go to wrong sense gratification. My words never go wrong because I have caught hold of the lotus of great zeal. He clarifies Brahma and sages of all other universes have bhakti. It happens for some Brahma ऐसा होता होगा, but all other universes Brahmas are pure devotees. And thus they attain liberation and prem bhakti with dasya and other relationships according to their degree of bhakti. Generally ऐसा नहीं होता है कि सब लोग मायावादी हैं, ऐसा कैसे हो गया? It may happen. If it happens, they'll not get liberated. So that is the understanding. Even if somebody is Brahma, he will not be liberated if he doesn't have pure vision. As there is a bhajan, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, Kita janma havayadi tuvadasa bhairmukha brahma nahimura asham. I am happy becoming an insect if I get a chance to be in the house of a devotee and I am a devotee in the body of insect. Chale, I am happy. Bahirmukha Brahma, non-devotee Brahma, I don't want to become. That means generally Brahma never becomes a non-devotee. He's always a devotee only. But the desire and aspiration of the devotee is such that even if Brahma becomes a non-devotee, I don't want to become Brahma. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, Brahma, that Brahma becomes liberated is known to everyone, but he cannot liberate his devotees. One can get liberation only by bhakti. No other people, no other devtas can give liberation. Brahma and Shiva cannot give liberation. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, only one who surrenders to Krishna can get liberated. Mame varye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Brahma is called Adyasthira Charana. He is the original first living entity. And after his birth, he creates the entire manifestation. And he is Vedagarbha. He knows the purpose of the Vedas. He creates all these personalities, Marichi, Kashyapa, great sages, Kumaras, and all the advanced living entities. But he has his own interest separate from the law. So if it is like then the result is they don't get liberation. It is a great fall down on the part of the impersonalists to think that Supreme Lord appears within the material world and that one should therefore not meditate on the form of the Lord because ultimately Lord is formless. What is the use of meditating on the form? That is a great mistake. Okay, so now it continues. In the next verse, he continues what is this Bhed Drishti. So yeah, that is over in the 14, 13 to 15 verses. And now from 16 to 21 verses, Kapil Dev is actually criticizing this Sakam Karma. He's saying that if bhakti is not there, even Brahma and all the other people, they return to this world, this material universe, where people perform Sakam Karma. That is criticized in these verses. I'll recite the verse. ये त्विहासक्त मनसा कर्मसु श्रद्धयान्विता कुर्वन्त्य प्रतिसिद्धानि नित्यान्यपि च कृत्स्नशः. Translation.
Persons who are too addicted to this material world execute their prescribed duties very nicely and with great faith. They daily perform all such prescribed duties with attachment to the fruitive result.
Okay, so persons who are too addicted, that means their minds are absorbed in sense gratification. Asakta manasaha, ye tu iha asakta manasaha. In this world, those who are asakta, karmasu, asakta to what? To fruitive activities. Shraddhayanvita kurvanti. They do very faithfully all these karmic fruitive activities. Apratisiddhani, with attachment. Those who are sakam karmis, they do all these activities, they desire the results, and they do repeatedly, they daily perform. It is not that okay, I'll do sometimes. No, they're repeatedly doing the same fruitive activities. Apratisiddhani. They perform kamya karma. There are two types of karmas: kamya karma and nitya karma and naimittik karma. Three. And there are some apat, emergency duties. So nitya karma means just like sandhya vandan. Every day one has to do. Naimittika karma means just like parents have to get their children married, vivaha. That is naimittika karma. Shraddha, naimittika karma. There are some karmas that are called as kamya karma. Kamya karma means I desire something and for that I am doing some activity or some yajna. So these sakam karmis, they do kamya karma more. They want the things of the world. So this sakam karma mentality is criticized. So Prabhupada writes, it is enjoined in scriptures that those who are attached to the enjoyment of material facilities have to sacrifice and undergo certain ritualistic performances. As Bhagavad Gita also says, Kriyate bahulayasham. Bahulayasham. They do intense endeavors. They do big yajna. But the purpose is Swarga jana. I want to go to Swarga. They desire to get elevated to heavenly planets. Such persons cannot be liberated. Those who worship devtas with this consciousness cannot be elevated to spiritual world. Okay, then what else these people do? Rajasa kunta manasah kamatmano jitendriyah pitrin yajantyanu dinam griheshvabhiratashayah. Translation.
Such persons, impelled by the mode of passions, are full of anxieties and always aspire for sense gratification due to uncontrolled selfishness. They worship the forefathers and are busy day and night improving the economic conditions of their family, social and national life. Hare Krishna.
Such people, they are under the mode of passion. Their desires, they never get satiated. Kamatmana swargapara. The word here uses kamatmana. Kamatma, their atma is for sense gratification. Their entire existence is for enjoyment. Kamatmana swargapara janma karma falapradam kriya vishesh bahulam bhoga ishwarya gatim prati. They do everything for bhog and aishwarya. Janma karma falapradam. I want heaven. I want good birth. उसके लिए क्रिया विशेष, they'll do lots of yajna. So that's what is described here. Being impelled by the mood of passion, rajasa kunt manasa means because of this mood of passion, their minds are always full of anxiety. Vaikuntha means there is where there is no anxiety. Kuntha, anxiety. They are ajitendriya, their senses are uncontrolled. So what they do with Janti, they worship the forefathers. Anudinam, day and night they are worshipping. Why they do this? To improve the economic conditions of their family, social and national life. What else they do? Sraivargikaste Purusha Vimukha Harimedasaha Pathayam Kathaniyoru Vikramasya Madadvisha. Translation.
Such persons are called Trivarkiha because they are interested in the three elevating processes. They are averse to the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, who can give the relief to the conditioned soul. They are not interested in the Supreme Personality's pastimes, which are worth hearing because of his transcendental prudeness. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So such people, they are Traivargika. They are interested in Dharma, Artha, Kama. That's it. So these people, they are Vimukha. They have turned their face away from Krishna. They have no Harimedasa. They have no Krishna consciousness. Typical materialistic person. He's living by Vedic means, pious means, but away from Krishna. They are not interested in Katha, which is Kathaniya. Anyone remembers any similar words? Kathaniya. Many words we have heard many times.
Bhajaniya, Shravaniya.
Pujaniya.
आदरणीय
अरे मतलब इसमें अपने भागवतम में हमने जो सुने स्पृहणीय, ईक्षणीय, दर्शनीय, स्मरणीय तो बोला ही आपको
कमनीय स्मरण
so everything about Krishna is worth. Kathaniya, worth chanting. Bhajaniya, Shravaniya, Smaraniya, Ikshaniya, worth desiring. So that Supreme Lord who is worth describing. Kathaniya, Kathaniyo, Kathayam, Kathaniyoru. So the pastimes of the Lord, they are kathaniyoru, they are worth speaking. But these people, they never ever go and worship. They'll worship their forefathers. You will see in many homes, they'll put their portraits of forefathers in their home. As the verse says previously, they worship the forefathers. They'll worship the forefathers, they'll do puja arti. That's worship of forefathers. But they'll not worship Krishna, who is worth worshipping. They'll not discuss the pastimes of Krishna, who is worth describing. Kathaniyoru vikramasya madhudvisha. So that is the sad part of the Vedic culture. That was the situation of society when Advaitacharya was there. He saw that people in the now they are completely absorbed in sense gratification, of course, in pious way. They will spend lots of money doing marriages of their pets, and they will worship Kali. They will spend lots of money on debates and all the material things, but they'll not worship Krishna. So Vibhukha Harimedasa, Prabhupada writes, Harimedha means he who can deliver from the cycle of birth and death. Materialistic people, they are never interested in such hearing. They are always absorbed in self gratification. Prabhupada writes. Such materialistic persons are interested in stories, novels, and imaginary drama. That's it. They will write, they'll read everything about the world, but they'll never speak up and hear about Krishna. आश्चर्यमेतद्धि मनुष्यलोके सुधां परित्यज्य विषं पिबन्ति नामानि नारायणगोचराणि त्यक्त्वा निवाचा कुहका पठन्ति. It is so astonishing. Ashcharya. What is so astonishing? Sudham parityajya visham pibanti. People in the world, they are giving up nectar and they are drinking poison. Sudham parityajya visham pibanti. What is fish? What is nectar? Namani narayana gocharani. The names of the Lord, they are like nectar. But they don't hear those words. Taktva, they give up those. Anya vacha, they hear other words. Kuhaka, they are false words. Another place in Bhagavatam describes Namadheyam Riyamana Matura Patan Skalanva Vivasho Grin Kuman Vimukta Karma Vimukta Karma Galuttamam Gatim Prapnot Yakshanti Natam Kalaujana. It is so very astonishing. People in the world, they don't chant the names of Krishna. Even at the time of death, if somebody chants, they get liberated. But these people, they're so foolish, so adamant, they will never take to this chanting. So that's how materialistic persons are. They're never interested in hearing about the marvelous pastimes of the Lord. They think that fictions and stories, they are fictions. Oh, what is the Ramayana Mahabharata story लिखनी है किसी ने? They think Supreme Godhead is also a man of material nature. What else they do? He continues in the next verse. Nunam devena vihata ye chacyut katha sudam hitva shanvanti asadgatha purisham iva vidbhujaha. You know, the same thing which we discussed just now. That translation somebody can read.
Such persons are condemned by the supreme order of Lord because they are averse to the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are compared to stool-eating hawks. They give up hearing the transcendental activities of the Lord and indulge in hearing of the abominable activities of materialistic persons.
Certainly, Daivena Vihata, they are struck by the fate. They are condemned by fate. Daivena Vihata. Because what are they doing? ये अच्युत कथा सुधा अच्युत कथा अरे वही नामानी नारायण गोचराणी. They are not drinking the nectar of Hari Katha. Achyut Katha Sudha. Hitva, they give up. And Shrinvanti Asadgat, बताइए इस संसार का सब सुन रहे हैं. As Radha Govind Maharaj say, what is this news? वो लोग बोलते हैं ये था कचरा, आज तक इंतजार करिए कल तक. So Asadgat, these are all stories about materialistic people. And what is that? It is like they are like stool-eating hogs, because hogs, they eat only reject, all the abominable things. And that is what Bhagavatam first canto also describes. What is the example? And you remember the example, all the scriptures of the world, all the novels and literatures of the world, and the transcendental literatures, they're compared to what?
Pilgrimage of crows.
Pilgrimage of crows and other.
The one that glorifies Lord creates a revolution.
So the devotees of the Lord, they are swans. And the non-devotees, they're like the crows. They pick up garbage. Tadvayasam tirthamusanti manasa netra hamsa niramanti sikshaya. Hamsa, a swan will never go towards that place. But the scriptures of the world are what? Tadvag visargo janatagha viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abaddhavatyapi. Tadvag visarga. These words can create revolution in the lives of misdirected civilization. Yasmin pratishlokam abaddhavatyapi. Even if it is imperfectly composed, namanyanantasya shongitani yat shinvanti gayanti grinanti. They are describing the glories of Supreme Lord. The great sages Srinvanti, they hear, they chant, and they apply. So that's the difference. So the people were like hogs. They eat only rejected things. They eat all the nonsense, garbage of the world, condemned things. So Prabhupada writes, everyone is addicted to hearing the activities of another person, whether politician, rich man, character, imaginary character. Harry Potter kya hai? Imaginary character. The people are absorbed in reading all those stories. There are so many nonsensical literatures, stories, and books of speculative philosophy. People like reading all those scriptures. Bhagavatam says, if you're not hearing the pastimes of the Lord, your eyes are like, ears are like. If we are not hearing the glories of Krishna, ears are compared to what? And you remember second canto?
Snake hole.
They
A
are
snake
the
will be there.
snakes live. Bile Batorukrama Vikramanye Nashanvati Karnaputain Rasya. The tongues which do not speak the glories of Krishna, Jihva, Sati, Dardurikeva Suta, Chopagaya, Turigaya, they are the tongue of a frog. Frog keeps croaking, thinking that he is making wonderful sound. What is the result? The snake comes, understands, here is frog, eats it. So uselessly talking, what are we doing? We are just wasting our time. Ayurharti Vaipumsam Udyam Astanchayan Nasau Tasyarte Yachanita Uttam Shlok Vartaya. Every rising and setting of the sun brings one closer to death. But those who are devotees of the Lord, they are coming to eternal life. So Prabhupada writes, these persons, materialistic persons, they are condemned like hog. If hog is offered some nice preparation of condensed milk, he would not like it. He would prefer stew, which he finds very relishable. The message of the Lord's activities is nectar. And besides that message, any information is actually hellish. Okay. Then he continues the description in the next verse. describes, how these people, they take rebirth on earth, how they come back. What's the sequence? Dakshinena patharyam na pitrilokam vajantrite prajamanu prajayante smashananta kriyakritaha. Translation.
Such materialistic persons are allowed to go to the planet called Pitraloka by the southern course of the sun. But they come back to this planet and take birth in their own families, beginning again the same fruitive activities from birth to the end of life.
Yeah. It's because Kriyate Bahulayasham, they did tapasya for that only. So they go to the Pitriloka. And Shune Punya Martilokam Vishanti. That is described in the next verse. Tatastekshena Sukrita Punarlokam Imam Sati Patanti Vivashadevai Sadyo Vipramshitodaya. Translation.
When the result of their pious activities are exhausted, they fall down by higher arrangements and again come back to the planet. Just as any person rises to the high positions, sometimes all of a sudden falls. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So, the principle is same, the process is same. If you go up and you can't attain more credits, you go down only. So you cannot attain pious credits in heaven. It is like exhausting the credits. We cannot get the credits there. Whatever pious credit we can acquire only on earth. So they are exhausting their credit and then Shine Punya Martilokam Vishanti. So Prabhupada writes, it is sometimes found that a person elevated to a very high position in the government service falls down all of a sudden and no one can check him. Similarly, after finishing the period of enjoyment, foolish person who are very much interested in being elevated to the position of president in higher planets also fall down. The similar principle works everywhere. But then Krishna says, if somebody goes to the planet of Krishna, they don't come back. Mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. Therefore, Kapil Dev, he tells, oh mother, wherever you go, wherever a living entity goes, ultimately they come back. So why to endeavor for any other path? The only path we are supposed to be practiced is bhakti. And you are thinking, you may be thinking that, well, I'll not achieve the goal of other paths. He says that by the bhakti path, you can achieve the goal of all the other paths also. It tells in the 22nd verse. Tasmat tvam sarva bhavena bhajasva parameshtinam tadgunashrayaya bhaktya bhajaniya padambujam.
My dear mother, I therefore advise that you take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for his lotus feet are worth worshipping. Accept this with all devotion and love, for thus you can be situated in transcendental devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Tasmat, O mother, sarva bhavena, with full attention, with all your consciousness, what you should do? Bhajasva, worship. Tvam, bhajasva, you should worship. Kiska worship? Parameshthi, that Supreme Lord. Worship that Supreme Lord, O mother. Tad gunashrayaya bhaktya. Only by bhakti, tad guna ashrayaya. Only by bhakti, which attracts all the good qualities, one can worship the Lord. But nothing else. Bhakti, only by bhakti one can worship the Lord. Bhajaniya, because his lotus feet are bhajani. They are worth worshipping, worth glorifying. So Prabhupada in the purport focuses on this word Sarva Bhavena. Sarva Bhavena means in all loving ecstasy you should worship the Supreme Lord, O my mother. Budha Bhava Samandita. Bhavena means with all your consciousness, pure. Prabhupada writes, Bhava is the preliminary stage of elevation before attainment of pure love, Sarva Bhava. And therefore, Kapiladev advised that you should attain that Bhava. One who has attained that Bhava, he can accept the lotus feet of the Lord as worshipable. Another significant word is Tad Gunashraya Bhaktya. This means discharging devotional service to Krishna is transcendental. Tad Guna Ashrayaya Bhaktya. Bhakti is transcendental as the Supreme Lord is transcendental. Because nothing material can approach spiritual. How can something which is material can approach a spiritual thing? Bhakti is all spiritual. The bhakta may not be spiritual, bhakta may not be purified, but bhakti is spiritual. Bhakti is always pure. The paths, the Navavidha Bhakti, the 9 limbs of Bhakti, they're always pure. There's no contamination in that path. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavratam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktiruttama. Bhakti is always pure. Therefore, Pildev is telling, please do Tat Guna Ashrayaya Bhakti. And then Prabhupada and writes that devotional service is the only means to attain the highest perfection of life. Without bhakti, nobody can attain anything. Tad Guna Ashrayaya means the Lord's transcendental qualities are so sublime that there is no need to divert one's attention to any other activities. One can achieve perfection just by practicing devotional service. His behavior with the devotee is so exalted that a devotee need not try to divert his attention to any other worship. Then, famous verse is again getting repeated. Practically, entire verse is the same as the first canto. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Yat Brahma Darshanam. Only last 2 words are different. Jnanam Chayat Ahetukam. वहां पे अहेतुकम था, यहाँ पे ब्रह्म दर्शनम. Same words is repeated. Translation.
Engagement in Krishna consciousness and application of devotional service unto Krishna make it possible to advance knowledge and detachment as well as self-realization. Hare Krishna.
So, in next 4 verses from 23 to 27, Kapiladev is glorifying the path of bhakti. After describing those who are dedicated to nishkam karma, or after describing the path of bhakti, now he is glorifying the path of bhakti. Kapiladev is advising his mother to surrender. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Bhakti, which is directed towards the Supreme Lord. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Prayojita, that bhakti which is directed to the Supreme Lord. What happens? 2 things happen. When you practice devotional service, 2 things have to come in life: Jnana and Vairagya. Janayati, janam hota hai kiska? Jnana and Vairagya. If these 2 things are not coming in the life of a devotee, that means there is some problem. Even after practicing years and years of chanting, if still we are attached to same old habits, same old inclinations, that means there is some problem. We are secretly doing something wrong. We are holding on to our previous habits, just like anchor of the boat. Otherwise, Vairagya has to come. Bhakti pareshan bhavo virakti अन्यत्र चैषा त्रिक एक काल प्रपद्यमानस्य यथाष्टतस्यु तुष्टि पुष्टि क्षुतपायोनुदासम. Just like when somebody starts eating, three things happen simultaneously. One feels satisfied, tushti, one gets nourished, pushti, and the hunger decreases. Shutapayo anubhasam, with every morsel, hunger decreases. Similarly, by the practice of devotion, three things have to come. By practice of chanting, bhakti will increase, the devotional sentiments will increase, we will experience Krishna in our lives, and virakti. So these things have to come, and by which jnanam yad brahma darshanam, one achieves ultimately self-realization. Prabhupada writes, it is said by less intelligent men that bhakti yoga is meant for people who are not advanced in knowledge and renunciation. But the fact is that if one engages in devotion, knowledge and renunciation comes automatically. Some people they say like that. Oh, इन लोगों को ज्यादा कुछ आता नहीं इसलिए खाली बैठ के हरे कृष्णा बोलते हैं. हम तो ज्ञानी हैं. We are following the path of jnana. We do all the speculation analysis. These people are sentimental people. That's why they do all this chanting and dancing. But again and again, scriptures say jnana has to come. A devotee is the best of the knowledgeable person. And then Prabhupada writes, he quotes this verse. Yasyasti bhakti bhagavati akinchana sarvai gunaiस्तत्र samasate sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathena sati dhavato bahi dhavato. If somebody is showing some good quality and not a devotee, it is just a matter of time. When his mind will show some things and his good quality will change. Or he may continue to show good quality, but what is the use if that good quality is not bringing him closer to Krishna? He'll be again entangled in the cycle of birth and death only. And that Prabhupada gives example of Mrigari, how he became a devotee and he was not even prepared to kill a man. Brahma Darshanam means to realize or to understand the transcendence. So if one realizes Vasudev, automatically he realizes Bhagavan and Paramatma also. So it is not that he will have to separately realize all these things, because Bhagavan realization automatically includes Brahman and Paramatma realization also. He continues in the next verse. Devamati, she may ask, by what symptoms should Gyan and Vairagya produced by Bhakti be understood? How will I understand that this devotee is Gyan and Vairagya? Is there a proof? We are saying that Bhakti creates Gyan and Vairagya. How will I understand that a devotee has Gyan and Vairagya? Very important question. So he answers. यदास्य चित्तम् अर्थेषु समेष्वेन्द्रियवृत्तिभिः न विगृह्णाति वैषम्यं प्रियम् अप्रियम् इत्युत. Translation. Somebody please read the translation.
The exalted devotee mind becomes equipoised in sensory activities and is transcendental to that which is agreeable and not agreeable.
So, yada asya chittam, when the mind of such people, these devotees, the mind of such people, they are sama. They are equipoised in what? Indriya vritti. They are equipoised in towards the objects of sense gratification. They are not so elated when they get something to enjoy, and when they are not sad when they are bereft of that. Indriya chitta vrittibhi, and another thing, na vigrihnati vaishamyam. They don't see differences in priya and apriya. When they get something good, they get something bad, they accept both of them equally. So that is the proof that this devotee has really developed knowledge and renunciation. It's not about learning shlokas. It's not about becoming Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav. What is knowledge? This is the result. How to understand that a devotee has developed knowledge and renunciation? Kapildev is not telling he knows all the shlokas. Kapildev is telling simply he has become equipoised. That means he has become neutral party. Na nirvinna, na atisakta. He uses everything in service of the Lord. He is transcendental to that which is agreeable and disagreeable. Srila Prabhupada writes. The sign of advancement in transcendental knowledge and detachment from material attraction is exhibited in the personality of highly advanced devotee. And all of us have experienced a little bit of that. We have become detached from some old habits. We have developed some knowledge. In some situations, we are able to become equipoised. Most of the situations, we are not equipoised. So it starts, Kleshagni starts, Shubhada starts. We have heard the 6 qualities of devotional service: Kleshagni, Shubhada, Sandrananda Visheshatma, and what else? Sri Krishna Karshini. There are 2 more: Kleshagni, Shubhada, uh, Sandrananda Visheshatma, Sudurlabha, and Sri Krishna Karshini, Moksha Labhutakrit. These are the 6 qualities of devotional service. So, all these qualities they start developing. One develops renunciation, one develops knowledge gradually, but not like advanced devotees. They can be equipoised in any situation. So Prabhupada focuses on this. There is nothing agreeable and disagreeable for him. Whatever does, whatever he thinks is for the satisfaction of Krishna. Nothing else. One time, in the beginning days, Yamuna Mataji, she made a wonderful cake for Prabhupada on his birthday. And she brought that cake. Prabhupada was in his room. She had put all the candles. And Yamuna Mataji she lit all the candles and she brought the cake all lit up with candles in the room of Prabhupada to offer to the Lord, to the deities. And Prabhupada, when he saw these candles, he was very amused and amazed to see. And he asked, "Whoa, what is that?" "Prabhupada, today is your birthday, I have made this cake for you." So Prabhupada was very pleased. She made an offering. And then she told Prabhupada, "Now you can blow off all these candles and you can make a wish. And you don't have to tell me anything. What is your wish?" Prabhupada said, "My only wish is to serve Krishna." So that is a satisfaction of a pure devotee. They have no other confusions. Everything they do is for the pleasure of the Lord, satisfaction of the Lord. Prabhupada writes, either in the material world or in the spiritual world, his mind is completely manifested, equipoised. He can understand that in material world there is nothing good, everything is bad here. The materialistic conclusions of good and bad, moral and immoral, are simply sentiment. Ei bhal, ei manda sab mano brahma. Dvaite bhadra bhadra gyan, sab mano dharma, ei bhal, ei manda. What is bhadra and abhadra? What is auspicious? What is inauspicious? It is all mental concoction. In spiritual world, everything is absolutely good. There is no inebriety. Because the devotee accepts everything in spiritual vision, he is equipoised. That is a symptom of his being elevated to transcendental position. Next verse, translation. Somebody can read the translation, please.
Because of his transcendental intelligence, the pure devotee is equipoised in his vision and sees himself to be uncontaminated by matter. He does not see anything as superior or inferior, and he feels himself elevated to the transcendental platform of being equal in qualities with the Supreme Person. Hare Krishna.
So, by his transcendental intelligence, he realizes that he is not his body, he is soul. That is the realization of this purified devotee. He understands that I am not this body, I am soul, and he works on that platform. Perception of disagreeable arises from attachment. A devotee who has no attachment, there is no question of agreeable and disagreeable. Prabhupada continues the same theme. Why is this agreement agreeable and disagreeable? Because if I am attached to something, I will like that. And if I'm not attached to something, I'll dislike it. Raga and Dvesha. But a devotee is equipoised. So therefore, him, there is no attachment or detachment, no raga or Dvesha. He's on the transcendental platform. Okay, so we'll stop here. We'll continue next time from verse number 26. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Guru Varga.